A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus came down with the 12 and stood on a stretch of level ground with a great number of his disciples and a large number of the people from all Judea and Jerusalem and the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon. And raising his eyes toward his, for the kingdom of God is yours. Blessed are you who are now hungry, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who are now weeping, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude and insult you, and denounce your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice and leap for joy on that day. Behold, your reward will be great in heaven. For their ancestors treated the prophets in the same way. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are filled now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will grieve and weep. Woe to you when all speak well of you, for their ancestors treated the false prophets in this way. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, I think in many ways you've just heard the perfect homily. It contains all the elements of a great sermon. It's immediately engaging. It's very direct. It contains visual imagery, lessons and blessings, a point of conversion, and a hopeful note. It's relatively short. I should probably just read it to you one more time and then sit down. Sorry. No. I must tell you, though, when I realized that I was preaching on the Beatitudes today, I was thrilled, until I remembered that it was going to be Luke's version and not the one from Matthew. This is not the Sermon on the Mount. This is the Sermon on the Plain. Plain meaning level ground, not in mid-flight or something. The Beatitudes that Matthew records are more spiritual in presentation, more poetic. The account we just heard from Luke is more gritty and down to earth. Matthew's words contain 8 beatitudes or blessings. Luke's gospel reading contains 4 blessings and 4 woes. In Matthew, we hear words like theirs and those. Luke is more pointed, preferring you and yours. Where Matthew speaks of the poor in spirit and those who hunger for righteousness, Luke speaks of the people who are poor, really poor, and those who are truly hungry. Matthew's words are comforting. Luke's words are, at best, unsettling, and in their toughest sense, extremely indicting. Today's gospel challenges us to think about what it is that we worship, what it is that we are passionate about. It asks us to reflect upon how we spend our time, how much of the day we spend concerned more about getting than about giving. Jesus begins by establishing the motives that are associated with the kingdom. The way of the kingdom, he says, is all about rejecting attitudes, priorities, and goals that in life that most of us consider acceptable and normal. Being a committed Christian involves confronting some of these basic tendencies of our human nature and then turning them upside down. We think it's normal, for example, to want to be comfortable and secure in material terms. It's normal to want to be liked by other people and to have them think well of us. It's normal to desire contentment and avoid suffering and unhappiness. Throughout our history, in all societies and all cultures, people have always pursued these goals, and we must not think badly of anyone because they look out for their own interests. In the present day, most of us take this notion for granted. But then we get turned on our heads. Jesus gives his blessing to those who lack all of these things. As my 5th graders would say, dude, that's messed up. But all through the Old Testament, God reveals himself as someone who's especially close to the people who are poor or hungry, or those who are ostracized due to injustice or cruelty, and he takes their side against the exploiters. Well, today, Jesus carries on and reinforces that conviction. God's kingdom, he says, belongs to just those people. Individuals who never concern themselves with anything but their own welfare already have their reward in earthly terms, so there's nothing for them under God's reign. But then Jesus says more than this. He tells his followers that commitment to the kingdom entails positively surrendering their attachment to the things that most people want in life and spend a lot of time pursuing. A committed Christian disciple isn't a person who just adds God to his or her list of things to seek and accomplish in life. We must consider leaving those things behind us in order to concentrate on God. Personal example. Throughout all of my working years, I always thought that upon retirement, I'd be spending my Sundays at car shows, sitting in a chair, gazing at my perfectly restored classic car. Looks like God steered me in a different direction. People plan, God laughs. Then maybe there are a couple of things we need to bear in mind when we hear the more radical